This tale, which one should I tell now? I want to tell a story about the first true medium that I ever met, and I actually still know we're good friends. We were best friends in high school. I don't know if you realize, but true trance mediums, like where the spirit takes over the body of the person and actually speaks through them and acts through them, and the person has no recollection of the memories of what happens during those periods of time. Those are actually very, very rare. Most psychic mediums that we hear about in like media and in the public eye are actually ones that will hear spirits or see them or talk to them. They don't actually have these spirits take their bodies over. Having said that, I didn't realize this until recently, actually. I didn't realize how rare this was. So I kind of feel pretty special because I know one in real life who refuses to practice now, by the way, because it terrifies her. But when we were young, I'd say probably about 17, we used to have seances in my like the farmhouse that I showed you earlier. That's in that basement. And for the video's sake, I'm going to call her Cheryl. I don't want to reveal her real name, but she'll probably recognize herself from the story because I've told her before. Okay, so we were in the basement. We used to do seances a lot. Just because I'd always been interested in the paranormal, probably because my mom died so young. And I always wondered where she went and if there is life after death. And I've always had that fascination with it. In this particular instant, we were talking to my mom, actually. We were calling her, like we all sat around. We thought you had to be like boy, girl in the circle, so we did that. And it's kind of funny when you think about it now. We sat there, and we had a candle in the middle. It was pitch black. I was the one conducting it, I guess. Like the first seance we ever did, my friend's brother conducted it. I have a video talking about that one when I was like young, probably about 14, 15. But by the time I was 16, 17, I got the balls enough to conduct them myself. So I was, had everyone else in the circle close their eyes, and I was asking. I often started off asking, Mom, if you're with us, can you knock on the wall twice? And then, whether she would knock or not, or whatever spirit we were talking to, they would usually communicate through rappings on the wall. And we'd talked to a few people by then, like a few spirits. And we'd talked to my mom before too. But on this instance, this day, my friend Cheryl, like we were all staring into the candle. Oh yeah, we weren't closed our eyes. We were all staring into the candle this time. And while I was asking questions, and I would ask for rapping once for yes, twice for no. Excuse me. The person sitting to the right of Cheryl realized after about 20 minutes that every time I'd ask a question, Cheryl would use her thumb and press into his hand, either once or twice for the questions. And that's when he alerted me to what was happening. Excuse me, allergies. Once we realized what was happening, we started to get excited about it. So we thought, well, what the heck is going on? So we, excuse me, we kept playing. Like, I know it's not playing, but back then it was playing when we were young. We didn't really know any better. So we kept talking to my mom and asking her questions. And as time went on, Cheryl's actions began to get more stronger. Like, she was pressing her thumb and squeezing his hand, and and then before we knew it, I would ask a question, and Danny, sitting next to her, would hear her whisper either yes or no, and so low that only he could hear it. It was really strange. Only he, and then probably the other boy on the other side, could hear her answering. So then we all got really quiet. We were listening. And the longer we talked, like it'd probably been about an hour and a half at that time, she just kept getting louder and louder, and would sit and talk. And then we were talking like we're talking now. And I was asking questions and talking to her like I would talk to my mom. And even like, I'm 43, and that was when I was 17, and I'm still floored to this day that I actually had a conversation with my dead mother that day. It was phenomenal. Like, Anyway, back to the story. I'm drifting again. I started asking questions because, just to prove that it wasn't Cheryl, I would ask questions that only my mother would know. Things about, let's say, I think it was my great uncle. Well, it would have been her uncle. Things about him, things about my great grandmother, things that only my mom would know. Like, Cheryl hadn't even seen pictures of these people, let alone heard anything about them. And that kind of just, it cemented it for me that it really was my mother. Talking through her. And at that point, I was dumbfounded. We just started to talk. And then she told me that she's always around the house. She said that after the fiasco with our former stepmother, that Julie, she was actually a bad stepmom. She and her sons abused us, and anyway, my mom said that she was so sorry she couldn't do anything to stop that. And she was really upset. You can see she was visibly upset. Or actually, Cheryl was. Yeah, she was very, very upset that she couldn't do anything. And she said she's trying to build power now so that if anything happened again, she would be able to step in. Somehow, What else? Trying to remember back. That was a long time ago. The conversation kind of got lighthearted between me and her. And she was teasing me. She said I was going to have a boyfriend named Darren. And I thought, like at that point, no, that's, I had a crush on a guy named, what the hell was his name? Oh shit, I can't remember his name now. But it was a D name too. I think it was Danny? Maybe Dan? I can't remember. Anyway, I had a crush on this guy, so I thought it would be him. So I thought, no, you're just getting the name wrong kind of thing. And then she kind of got really stern. Well, through my best friend, she got stern. And she said to me, she goes, you be careful. You need to be careful. I kind of went, what do you mean? You're going to have sex. I'm not going to say that you're not, because I know you are. I can't see that far into the future, she says, but I know what's going to happen in the immediate future, and if you're not careful, you are going to have a little girl. And, like at that time, I'm thinking, yeah, right, that's so silly. And I was just laughing back and forth with her. And, and then we were talking a little bit again. And, and she said that this boyfriend was going to be driving a red car. And which I thought, okay, it had to be this Danny guy because he had a red Trans Am. And like a cherry red Trans Am. But I thought, he's a bit older than me. He's not going to want to date me or anything. So I thought she was just picking up on what Cheryl and I had talked about. Like our crushes on boys and all that. So at that point, like, I didn't know whether she was picking up on things that were already in her mind. And we talked a little bit more, and then she said, okay, I'm gonna go now because I think your friend here is really tired. This has probably taken a lot out of her. Because at that point it'd been, just about 2.5 hours. And, excuse me. And then she said, Rhonda, I want you to know that I love you. And I said, I love you too. And as soon as those words came out of my mouth, I was just bawling, I was crying. And then, the Danny, that friend of ours, Danny, he blew the candle out. And then Cheryl kind of looked around. She was all confused because, I'm sitting across the circle from her and I'm crying, just blubbering, bawling. And she thought we hadn't started yet. She went into a trance as soon as we held our hands together and she was looking into the candle. That's how quickly it took over. Mom took her body over. So at that point, and then when, she was looking around wondering what the hell. And we told her what had been going on, and we told her it's been about 2.5 hours, and she thought we hadn't started yet. That completely freaked her right out. She'd never lost that much time, ever. And it really, really scared her, so we didn't do that again for quite a while. But yeah, that was my first real experience with a psychic, psychic medium. And yeah, it makes her feel so uncomfortable that she does it very rarely. She likes to talk about it now, all this time later, and she laughs because we did do it a couple other times after. A few other times, actually. We talked to several other people that we knew that had passed. And she said, she actually said this to me recently on Facebook. She said it's kind of cool now to listen to the stories, and she said she's glad that I remember the stories because she was never there. Because honestly, yeah, she was out. So yeah, that's my story. I'll talk to you later. Bye.